Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Look, whether you're a first-line help desk engineer just starting out, a seasoned IT consultant, or a senior IT director overseeing literally thousands of endpoints, understanding the exact mechanics of Windows updates is absolutely crucial. So today, we're tearing down the complexities of Patch Tuesday, Intune update rings, and the whole shebang. We're going to start with the basics and work our way right up to the advanced stuff, giving you a crystal clear roadmap of how Windows servicing actually works under the hood. I really want to kick things off with this quote from EndpointWeekly. It says, "Every month, Windows ships updates, and you assume you understand exactly what just happened." We've all been there, right? Your users see that little notification icon pop up, they click install, and you kind of just cross your fingers. But in the real world, when something inevitably breaks after Patch Tuesday, if you don't know the exact difference between an LCU and a preview release, well, you're essentially debugging blind.
So to fix that, here's our agenda for today. 1. The monthly calendar. 2. Demystifying update types. 3. The truth about cumulative. 4. Intune update rings. 5. CSP and group policy. And 6. Troubleshooting updates.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, the monthly calendar. Before we even think about configuring policies, we really need to understand the rhythm of Microsoft's release cycle. Microsoft builds its quality updates around a very predictable monthly cadence. First up, we have the famous B release. This lands on the second Tuesday of the month, which you probably know as Patch Tuesday. Now this one is mandatory. It contains all the security updates, and it's what your Intune rings or WSUS environments deploy automatically. Then, on the third Tuesday, we get the C release. This one is strictly a preview release, containing non-security fixes that will eventually roll into next month's B release. Crucially though, the C release is optional. Devices do not install it automatically unless you're actively choosing to test it. And finally, we have the OOB, or out-of-band releases. These can drop at literally any time. They're rare for sure, but they are your emergency, stop what you're doing, and patch right now security updates, usually accompanied by a major MSRC advisory. Actually, just a quick note for those of you who have been managing Windows for a while now. There is no longer a separate D release week on the fourth Tuesday for Windows 11 or mainstream Windows 10. The C release is now the only optional mid-month update that you need to keep on your radar.
Moving on to Section 2, demystifying update types.
Let's actually break down the primary payloads you're dealing with. The LCU, or latest cumulative update, well, that's your bread and butter. It's the monthly security and quality update that Patch Tuesday delivers. Then we have the preview LCU, which we just touched on, containing those optional non-security fixes. But here's the big one. Do not confuse these monthly quality updates with feature updates. Feature updates are your major annual OS upgrades, like moving from version 23H2 to 24H2. Those are entirely separate beasts, managed by entirely different feature update policies in your admin portals.
Now check out this fantastic workflow improvement for modern administration. Back in the old days, you had to manage the SSU, the Servicing Stack Update, totally separately. The SSU updates the actual underlying component that installs Windows updates, so if your stack was out of date, the patch would just fail. The new way, Microsoft simply bundles the SSU directly into the LCU for Windows 11 and Windows 10 versions 21H2 and newer. Honestly, it's a game changer. No more separate deployments and no more agonizing over prerequisite order.
All right, Section 3, the truth about cumulative.
The term cumulative update basically means it's a fully self-contained package. Every single LCU contains all the fixes from all previous LCUs for that specific Windows version. Think about it like this. If a user comes back from a 3-month sabbatical and boots up their laptop, you don't have to install 3 months of missing patches in some long, fragile, sequential dependency chain. No way. A single installation of the current month's LCU catches that device up completely. If Microsoft revises a fix they made 2 months ago, the current LCU simply contains the newest, correct version. But there is a catch. The crucial point here is that while cumulative is incredibly convenient for administration, it definitely doesn't mean small. We're talking 500 megabytes to 2 gigabytes per update every single month. Why? Because they contain all the binary patches since the original feature update baseline. For IT managers planning out enterprise networks, you absolutely have to account for this bandwidth implication. If you have branch offices with limited WAN links, you must be utilizing technologies like delivery optimization or branch cache. Otherwise, these massive LCU payloads are going to bring your network to a crawl.
This brings us to Section 4, Intune update rings.
Now that we know exactly what we're deploying, let's shift gears and look at how we actually control these massive updates using Windows Update for Business. A typical 3-ring model is the bedrock of intelligent patching.
And by the way, this exact underlying philosophy is what powers automated solutions like Windows Autopatch. Step 1 is your pilot ring, running with 0 days of deferral. This hits about 5% of your users, mostly your IT team and early adopters, designed to catch immediate glaring issues. Step 2 is your early ring. Here, you defer updates for 7 days, targeting about 20% of the company, think business leads and power users. This gives you a solid week to observe stability. And finally, Step 3 is your broad ring, deferring for 21 days for the remaining 75% of your general population. By the time this ring patches, the update is a known, stable commodity.
And when you structure your rings this way, your Intune Admin Center telemetry becomes highly actionable. If you look at the device status for a specific LCU, say a July broad ring deployment, you get crystal clear visibility. You might see 847 devices succeeded, 112 are in progress, and 14 failed. As an administrator, you don't really care about the 847 successes, right? You care about isolating those 14 failures immediately before they compromise your security posture.
Let's dive deeper with Section 5, CSP and Group Policy. We're elevating our technical depth here to pull back the curtain on the underlying configuration service providers. When you configure an update ring in Intune, under the hood, it's really just translating your clicks into OMA URI paths. For instance, to push that broad ring out 21 days, Intune sends an integer value of 21 to the Defer Quality Updates period in days path. To delay a major annual OS upgrade, it uses the Defer Feature Updates path. There are also specific paths to pause quality updates entirely, which is an absolute lifesaver if a patch is blue screening your early ring. Plus, there's a critical path to exclude hardware driver updates from coming through standard Windows Update. Now, for our consultants and engineers managing hybrid or on-premise environments, here are the exact group policy equivalents. All of these settings map perfectly to computer configuration, administrative templates, Windows components, and then Windows Update for Business. Whether you're manipulating the registry directly via GPO or sending OMA URIs down from the cloud, you are hitting the exact same Windows Update for Business engine on the local client.
I do have a quick pro tip here, though. Just because you know the raw OMA URI paths doesn't mean you should always use them. Always use the built-in Intune Update Ring Policy UI instead of raw OMA URI whenever possible. The UI wraps these CSPs cleanly and, more importantly, provides essential per-ring reporting. Really, only resort to custom OMA URIs for obscure settings that the standard interface hasn't exposed yet, like specific driver exclusions. Keep your management as clean and native as possible.
Finally, Section 6, Troubleshooting Updates. So, what do you do when things inevitably go wrong? It's literally the most common help desk escalation you will face. Why is this specific device not installing the latest update? You've checked the ring assignment, you've checked the deferral days, it definitely should be patching, but it just sits there. To find the answer, you have to decode the logs.
The modern Windows Update log on the local device isn't just a simple text file you can double-click and open in Notepad anymore. It's written in a binary ETL format. To read it, you need to use PowerShell. Specifically, you're going to want to fire up PowerShell 7 and run the Get Windows Update log commandlet. This command actively translates those binary traces into a readable text file on the user's desktop.
But listen, there is a massive gotcha here that trips up even senior engineers all the time. If you run Get Windows Update log, you might open the resulting text file and see it absolutely littered with symbol error placeholders instead of actual error descriptions. This happens because decoding the log requires the Windows Symbols package. If you try to be clever and run this commandlet remotely via PowerShell remoting against a machine that doesn't have the symbols available, you're going to get a useless, partially decoded file. The simplest, most foolproof workaround, run the command locally on the device where the matching symbol files are natively available.
Well, we've covered a ton of ground today, all the way from the LCU payloads to OMA URI strings and ETL log decoding. But I really want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to take back to your IT strategy meetings. Are your update rings actually protecting your network, or are they just delaying the inevitable? Think about it. If you're deferring updates for 30 days but you aren't actively reviewing the telemetry from your pilot and early rings, you aren't actually testing anything, you're literally just patching a month late. Use the tools, leverage Autopatch and your deployment rings, decode the logs when you need to, and build a truly proactive servicing strategy. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.